What is up there, everybody? Citrus Aviation here for yet another video. Today we are going to discuss the top 10 airlines to go bankrupt in 2021. There is a lot going on in the aviation industry, particularly with the pandemic that's been going around, and it's been affecting a lot of airlines and causing some to go bankrupt. We've already seen some go out, like Flybe and Tiger Air and several others. And in this video, I'm going to discuss the top 10 airlines that will go bankrupt in 2021. These are the most likely to, and we've got an honorable mention here, starting here at essentially with number 11. And 2021 is almost about to come upon us, so let's get started. So in the honorable mentions category, I have Lufthansa. This is a legacy, legendary airline. They have had some financial struggles as of late, and they were actually about to run out of money in about 6 months. They were about to run out of their cash reserve. However, they were bailed out by several governmental and banking agencies with a 5-year, $5 billion bailout essentially. So they are good to go for the next 5 years. However, they need to be wise, very careful, and ensure that they actually use that money wisely. They are also making some moves I do not like, such as removing amenities from the flights. They are removing food services from their flights, which for those of us here in America, we're used to not having food services. But in Europe and Asia, most mainline carriers still, up to 2020, were offering food for free on the flights. Well, Lufthansa is going to be removing these services, and you will no longer get free food on your flight, even in economy. You will now just have the option to buy it, just like on any discount airline. And so Lufthansa is essentially making themselves not as good of an airline, which is a really bad move in my opinion. If you're a premium airline, you should continue to be that premium airline so you can charge the premium prices, because if you don't do that, then you really can't do it without being a good airline. So I don't like where Lufthansa is going with their new moves. Yes, they do need to save money, but this is not the way to do it. Cracking our top 10, we have number 10, American Airlines. Now, American Airlines did turn a profit last year. In fact, in 2019, they were the most profitable airline in the world with a $1.9 billion profit. Now, despite that huge success, they could have still lost a lot of money. And the reason why they actually made money was because fuel prices were really low. If fuel prices had gone up by, I believe it was just $2, they would have completely wiped out all that $1.9 billion profit. So the airline industry is a very knife edge industry. You can literally have a terrible year followed by an amazing year followed by another terrible year. It's really up and down. And American Airlines, though, their issue though is that they aren't managing their funds well. They tend to waste a lot of money on things that aren't very important. And this is an airline that's already gone to bare bones operations. It's not like they haven't already cut a lot of things. There's a lot though that they could cut. A lot of fat, a lot of stuff for CEOs. There's a lot of wasted fuel. Like, you've probably seen American Airlines aircraft just sitting on the ground at airports, just pulled back from the gate. Usually an airline, they push back the aircraft from the gate, taxi out, depart. American, they push back from the gate, sit for 30 minutes, then they go. There's all kinds of just strange irregularities from American where they waste money, and they need to get that under control if they want to be a profitable airline, or else they are going to be in trouble. They're already in trouble this year. They lost quite a bit of money. They did get part of that $12 million bailout for US Airlines. They got a large portion of it. I believe they got around $5 billion of it, but it's still going to be an issue for them, and they need to fix this problem, or else they're going to go down very quickly. At number 9, we have Etihad Airways. This is an airline that is currently under a financial recovery after their horrific 2017-2018 fiscal years. Those were terrible for them. 2019 fiscal year was better. They actually lost less money. It was about $500 million less they lost. So they were heading in the right direction, but still losing money. They were looking to actually reach profitability in 2021 or 2023, somewhere in that range. But because of the pandemic, this project is obviously being kicked down the road. The can's being kicked to 2023 through 2025 is when they would like to get to profitability. Now, this is an issue though, because if they continue to lose money it doesn't matter how good of a recovery plan they have. They are going to go bankrupt. So they are still on the verge of bankruptcy. They haven't gone bankrupt yet, but this is an airline that I could sadly see go bankrupt next year, which I really hope doesn't happen, but you know, it could, unfortunately. At number 8, we moved to an airline that is actually currently in bankruptcy proceedings. I believe they are actually in Chapter 11 bankruptcy right now, or in the equivalent of it in the country of Colombia. It is Avianca. Avianca is an amazing airline. They got great service, great livery. However, they were forced to shut down operations because of the pandemic in several countries, including their home country, Colombia, and some other countries. I believe Mexico forced them to cease operations. And they decided to, at the time, refinance some debts and go into bankruptcy. Now, fortunately for Avianca, this isn't the bad kind of bankruptcy where they're going to be gone. They just decided to do bankruptcy in order to help restructure some of their loans and some of the debts, and they will be just fine. This airline will survive. They will do just fine. But they should be on the list because they are technically in bankruptcy proceedings right now. At number 7, we have Asiana. Now, this is an airline that I've talked about before. They've had some issues. Fortunately, about a year ago, they did get about a $1 billion bailout. But they are still potentially on the knife edge. If this deal with Korean Air does not work out for them, they will go bankrupt, most likely. Korean Air is a company that is looking to acquire Asiana through a merger. This would obviously eliminate the Asiana brand altogether, but it would lift the company out of bankruptcy as they now be owned by Korean Air, who is in a much more financially stable position. However, if the deal does not work out, Asiana is going to be in big trouble, and they will be very unlikely to find a suitor that can help them financially. So they will be in trouble possibly, and that deal is supposed to go forth in 2021. So we'll find out by the end of 2021 what Asiana's status is going to be. In 6th position, we have Alitalia. Yes, this is the government-owned airline that has been on the verge of collapse for the last 3 years, but because of government bailouts, they keep coming back. Now, of course, my question is, how long is the government going to keep bailing out Alitalia until they realize it's a stupid proposition and finally let them go? I don't know. 2021 could be the year, but this is an airline that's been on the fringe for a long time. They need to fix their problems or else they will go bankrupt. At number 5, we have El Al. This is the national airline of Israel. They are a very iconic airline. They got beautiful livery, great fleet. However, they have been floating with bankruptcy for a while, and they are unfortunately an airline that could very easily go under if they don't fix their financial situation. They have been doing some things to help alleviate some of their debt issues. Obviously, the pandemic did not help. The pandemic basically hurt every single airline's chances on this list of coming back out of debt. Being why I'm very confident that at least 2 or 3 of these airlines will not survive through 2021. But El Al, they have done some things to help themselves. They have streamlined their fleet to more fuel efficient and less aircraft types. That's a very big deal. They have retired the 747, 757, 767, and they will begin with the 777s as well, and they'll just be operating 787s and 737s. That is really going to help streamline their fleet and to reduce cost, and it will help to have fuel efficient aircraft, which should help. I could also see El Al removing Imandis as well, unfortunately though. At number 4, we are getting up to some of the most dire situations financially in the aviation industry for commercial aviation. And here we have Cathay Pacific chilling at a very unhonorable 4th place. You don't want to be in this top 4 because you are seriously desperate. At number 4, Cathay Pacific, they have already decided to suspend their Cathay Dragon brand. It was essentially the East Asian kind of local South China, Southeast Asia brand that they flew. Now, it looked almost exactly the same paint scheme as Cathay Pacific, but it was essentially red instead of the green. They have decided to suspend the brand and bring back those aircraft to be part of Cathay Pacific, just have it with one brand. They are removing Imandis from the aircraft. They are retiring older aircraft types. They are doing a lot of downscaling. They are storing a large portion of the fleet. there's just a lot that they're doing to try to just save as much money as possible right now. Because really, if they don't do drastic measures right now, they will most likely run out of money within the next 6 months to a year, which is not something you want to hear about. That is really bad news. You're really desperate at that point if you're about to run out of cash reserve in the next 6 months to a year. Cathay needs to be very careful, and I really hope they do survive, because I really like this airline as essentially the flag carrier of Hong Kong. I really hope they survive because I like this airline. At number 3, we have another very dire situation. We have Thai International. Thai Airways is so desperate that they recently sold off at auction their entire 747 fleet. Like literally, you could have gone and bought a Thai 747 to own yourself. They have now sold all of their 747s, and they are selling off a large portion of their business space. So for example, the Thai International Airways headquarters building is up for sale, and rooms are up for lease. They are basically doing anything they can to sell. You can in fact go and buy dinner plates, salt shakers, all kinds of things from the airline. They are selling as much stuff as they can, which is really sad because I liked the service that Thai offered. I've heard a lot of good things about the unique customer service that they offer. Some of the unique ways they will incorporate Thai culture into the airline. Basically, flying Thai, you got a little taste of what the Thai culture is like, which I thought was super awesome. I never had a chance to fly them. They're looking like they're in really, really desperate shape. I mean, when you have to sell off your headquarters building and you'll essentially be operating out of just a rented space temporarily or long term, that is really bad news for the airline. They are selling off aircraft at auction. This is just a really bad look for them. They're just finding any way to get money. This airline might not survive the 2021 year, as sad as it is. As much as I love this airline, it is very likely this airline will not survive. At number 2, we have South African Airlines. This is another airline in bankruptcy proceedings. I believe Thai is also in bankruptcy right now. South African Airways is an airline that's been bailed out twice in the last 2 or 3 years by the government, and they are now in bankruptcy. It's just very unlikely that this airline and their subsidiary Mango will survive, because currently lenders are not really wanting to give money to it, and the government is also looking to possibly pull the plug. And once your government doesn't even support you, I'm sorry, your business is dead. And South African Airways is going to be in a very tough spot. I fully expect this airline to not survive the year. And it's very sad because I like South African, another good airline that's going to go under. They were the flagship carrier for the country of South Africa. With the disappearance of South African, it would though open the market for new opportunities, which I think could be very interesting. I could see Mango in particular being bought out by another holding company because there is a lot of profitability chance there. South African has potential, but I don't think as it currently sits they will remain as they are. I could see this airline getting rebranded and be bought out by somebody else. But as it currently stands, the current South African Airways is very unlikely to survive the year. They have no money, and they're basically living on borrowed time. Finally, another airline that is in a very shaky position, and I also don't think will survive the 2021 year, is Norwegian. This is an airline with a great identity, a great brand, a very unique brand, a very unique concept of operating long-haul discount services. However, it has not been working out for them recently. They have been very unfortunate with the MAX groundings, the Rolls-Royce Trent 1000 Package B and C engine failures, and some other issues. They've also had the market cut into by other airlines who are taking opportunities of the current struggles of Norwegian Airlines, which is exactly what I would do if I was in those airlines' position as well, because this is a competitive industry. You have to compete hard, and Norwegian's just not been able to make it recently, and they have been losing money. 2020 has been a very tough year, and they recently filed for bankruptcy protection in Ireland. That's not going to save them from going bankrupt. I fully expect them to go into Chapter 11 or even Chapter 13 bankruptcy here in the near future. They might not even survive 2020. That's how desperate it is. But I can almost guarantee you This airline will not survive 2021. I mean, I don't want it to happen. I don't want any of these airlines to go bankrupt, but the chances are that 2, 3, maybe even 4 of these airlines will not survive the 2021 year. So, with that being said, these are the top airlines that I think will go bankrupt. What airlines did I miss on the list? What airlines do you think are most likely to go? Comment those below. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and God bless you.